Hello and welcome to another episode of our GA4 Enablement series, where we aim to conquer the shiny new analytics platform. So, today we are going to be speaking about Google Signals, which gives some superpowers to our GA4 platform. I had spoken about it at a high level in our very first episode, but today we'll dive into a bit more detail. So, let's summarize what we know about Google Signals till now. Number one is that Google Signals is that thing that can identify a user across their multiple devices and multiple browsers. And secondly, GA4 can use this Google Signals to basically identify its users and user counts for people who actually visit your website. So, what are the requisites for you as a merchant to benefit from Google Signals? Number one is the users that visit your site should be signed in to their Google accounts. So I am an Android user, and as a part of the Android phone login, I have to sign into a Google account. Based on this, any website or any app that I've visited using my phone, Google knows that it's Kaustubh Joshi who's visited that site. So now you can imagine Android has a 70% plus market share in mobile devices, which means that they have this kind of information for that large a population on Earth. Users could be signed in also using their browsers. So I am logged into my Chrome browser. So again, any website that I visit using this Chrome browser, Google knows that it's Kaustubh Joshi again. So now tying the first and the second slide that I just showed you, if I visit a site using my Android phone and don't complete the purchase, later I visit the same site using my office computer using this Chrome browser, Google will know that these two visits are from the same user called Kaustubh Joshi. And that's the power. Now, again, similar to Android, Chrome has a market share of more than 65%. So again, the identity match that it can run is just so powerful. It's not necessary to use Android phones or Chrome browsers. You could be logged into your Google accounts via many different other methods. For example, you might have seen some sites offer a login with Google option. When you do that, you're logged into your Google account necessarily. You might also be using other Google products like Google Photos, uh, Gmail, so many ways in which you might be logged into your Google account. The second requisite is that those users should have also opted in to something called as ads personalization. And as you would guess, by default, ads personalization is turned on. And just look at the amount of information then that it can start gathering and collating about me. Additionally to that, if I actually click on this, which is my web and app activity, Google will know every app and website that I've visited in the past. So, can you imagine how it can create a profile of my interests? So, we are going to jump into a practical use case. You can no longer see any demographics data for your traffic. Now, this was clearly visible in Universal Analytics, and you need that. So, this is your GA property that you were looking at. And as you see, I can see nothing being reported here. The first thing that I will do is go to the admin section. And then once I'm in the admin section, I go to data settings and data collection. That's where all of your data collection settings are. And now you can see that Google Signals has not been activated. So all you have to do is make sure that you follow the process. There's a couple of questions that get asked, and then you're basically activated with Google Signals. However, the key thing that you need to know is that Google expects that you have all the right disclosures on your privacy policy and on your site to inform your users that you are going to make that association between Google data and your site visitation data. So, in case you are setting up a GA4 property on behalf of somebody else, we highly recommend that you shouldn't be the one who should be accepting these terms and conditions, because the property and the site belongs to somebody else. So they should be the one who would be accepting these and moving forward with the Google Signals Association. So this is how it looks when once you've accepted and activated Google Signals. You'll see the toggle button here and an acknowledge sign here. From this point on, Google Signals data is now getting associated with your site visitation. It doesn't work retrospectively, even though Google had the data for those users in the past. There's one more thing that I'm going to show you, because we've talked about Google Signals being a key part of your user identification. But just by you associating Google Signals data does not mean your Google Signals is being used to identify users. Once you've done this, you'll have to go into another section, which is called reporting identity. You can check what is the reporting identity that you've set to identify your users. By default, it will either be blended or observed, which basically uses the waterfall that I had spoken about. First, it checks for user ID, Google Signals, and device ID. But sometimes you might basically want to not use Google Signals for identifying users at all, in which you can toggle to device based. And we will speak about this in another episode, why you would ever want to do that. You can keep toggling between these user identification methods any number of times you want, because it does apply retrospectively as well. It's just the way users are aggregated, and that can be changed at any time. Now, once you've done this, let's see if we can start seeing the demographics data. Obviously, you'll have to wait for a few days for that data to start getting collected. So for that, I'm going to go back into my reports under the user collection, demographics, and demographics details. And so you will always have country and city data, because that does not come from Google Signals. But if I see age, now I can see all my demographics and interest details coming through. Now, one very important takeaway here is you'll see that this website had 76,000 users, but the demographics data is available only for a smaller subset of users. Now, this goes back to the main point that I'd mentioned, that Google Signals is only collected for people who are logged into Google accounts, and secondly, who have also opted in to ads personalization. And that's the reason why Google Signals data and demographics data, you'll never have that for all of your users. But the subset of users that you collect for, that'll be a good indication of what your demographics looks like. What's the summary of what we've learned? Google Signals helps identify users across multiple devices and hence enables better reporting and attribution. It's the thing that allows you to view demographics data in GA4. If Google Signals is not activated, you won't see anything. It allows you to benefit from better remarketing capabilities in your advertising platforms. In GA4, Google Signals based data is available only for a small subset of your user, as it requires a user's opt-in as well. Google Signals does not apply retroactively. So it will start associating Google Signals data to your users only from the day you've switched it on. Google's reporting identity can be toggled to either use or ignore Google Signals for its user identification. And we will learn about why that can be useful in a future report. I hope you found this session helpful, and we'll meet again in the next video.